good centre which will attract the cream of local and international scholarship. And I mean, this might be just the idle dreams of an outsider who doesn't know much about Gandhian institutions, but could that ashram be that place? Is it possible to create a worldwide community of Gandhian scholars? And I mean, it might not be the Sabarmati ashram, but how good would it be if there was one centre, a worldwide community of Gandhian scholars somewhere, and it was in India? You know, instead of going to the India office in London, we came here to do our work. Now, I've long had this vision of like-minded people coming to the one place, and if the place has a Gandhian atmosphere, like the ashram could provide but libraries can't, it would be a wonderful thing. Now, this dream might be a worthy dream, but of course there's a problem. Well, there's probably several problems, but one problem is, as with the Gandhi journals, there are now many Gandhi centres coming up. Of course, it's important to infuse young people in the sense of Gandhian activism, and so universities have to have Gandhi centres. But at least from an outside view, the question arises about research centres. How many research centres can India accommodate? Because how many real Gandhi scholars are there? And if you've got a dozen research centres and the scholars are scattered around the country, they're not going to have the chance to meet and for there to be some dialectical discussions going on, or Western scholars come, one will be in Delhi, one will be in Jalgaon, one will be somewhere else. Wouldn't it be great if we had a place where people met and ideas were thrown around and there was some real creativity in Gandhian scholarship? You know, we need a critical mass, or it'd be nice to have a critical mass of people in the one place. So there are some questions that come when I start thinking about this, and the questions are, how much real Gandhi scholarship or research is done at these research centres? One of the important international Gandhi research centres, I won't name it again, when I was last there had a padlock on the door because nobody comes there. How much of the time are they lying idle? All Gandhi researchers have made friends at the canteen of their research institution. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a research institution where we could all meet around the canteen or the water cooler and get together, where there was a really good research centre that attracted people from around the world? So maybe one or two quality centres might be of greater value than the proliferation of largely unused lots of centres. Now, I want to say something in wrapping up about cooperation and competition in Gandhian circles. What appears to me to be a trend in giving us a more scholarly Gandhi and a less activist, or a more bureaucratic Gandhi and a less activist Gandhi, is mirrored in the prizes that we hand out for Gandhian, so-called Gandhian work. In 1995, the Indian government instituted the Gandhi Peace Prize. It's a very prestigious prize, doesn't give as much money as the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's some sort of competitor for the Nobel Prize, and the recipients have been peace workers, a multicultural lot, sure, but mostly they've been elderly, well-known men, as with mostly the Nobel Prize as well, not young, non-violent activists. They're all worthy, but it seems to be the usual suspects. Now, I think that's a relatively recent initiative, because about 20 years before then, we had the Jamnalal Bajaj Awards for constructive workers, for young activists who are doing things in the villages. Now, there is something to help people do their work, not just reward people who are old and finished their projects. Now, we know who Jamnalal Bajaj was. He was the industrialist who became Gandhiji's ideal trustee. He put his money in trust for the weaker sections, and he spent his later years as a constructive worker. Now, the work of the people who get that award are people who have done constructive work dealing with the application of science and technology in rural areas, the uplift of welfare of women and children, and you could imagine if Gandhi was in favour of awards, which I'm sure he wouldn't have been, but if he was, he would be thinking that the Jamnalal Bajaj Award is the real Gandhian prize, not the Gandhi Peace Prize. So it just seems to be this movement all over in prizes, in academia, in writing, that's going off in a direction which might be inevitable, but somehow I feel that something is slowly getting missed. Let me just move on a little bit because it's getting to be rather long. I'm just basically what I'm trying to say in very brief terms is that competition might not be the best producer of quality Gandhian work or Gandhian activists. Now, where can I go? I might just leave some of this. Gandhian Sarvodaya workers are disappearing. Gandhian praxis is being traded for Gandhian certificates, if you like. And I think it's not enough to have an interest in just a theoretical Gandhi, because so what? I mean, we have tasks that we have to accomplish here in India and the rest of the world, and we need, I think, Gandhian activists to be out there. And how do we do something with the courses that we actually encourage people to come out as activists who would want to do something in the field? Maybe fewer top quality journals, courses, centres would be better if they were turning out more Gandhian activists. So that means cooperation instead of competition. Now, I can say something, I guess, about competition, again, in a personal sense. In the late 1980s, I corresponded with an American Gandhi scholar, or member of the Gandhi family, if you like, Mark Shepard. I don't know how many of you have heard of Mark. He wrote a very good book called Gandhi Today. He had chapters on various old Gandhians and the institutions they were running. So there was a chapter on Chipko, and a chapter on Haribarik, and a chapter on, I don't know, People's Courts, and a chapter on JP, a chapter on Vinova, like that. Mark and I were about the same age. We had a lot in common. We both came to India to seek Gandhi. He's from America, I'm from Australia, other ends of the world. We never met. We came to India at different times, but we saw many of the same people, and eventually we started communicating by letters and then by email. And it was very interesting that both of us had written about the Gandhian community in India, but both of us had written totally different things. And I was thinking, how is this possible? Both of us had written about the celebrated tree-hugging Chipko movement. Mark had a chapter in his book called Hug the Trees, and I wrote a small book called Hugging the Trees. Mark's chapter was about Chani Prasad Bhatt only. Sundar Bahugna not mentioned. My book, I tried to talk to Chani Prasad Bhatt, but when he found out I was talking to Sundar Bahugna, he didn't want to talk to me. But that's another issue. I tried to get as much information as I could, but Bahugna was very open, so by default, the star of my book was Sundar Bahugna. So we've got two things on Chipko, one Chani Prasad, one Bahugna, and neither of us have had any concern with Indian politics. I wasn't trying to push anybody, nor was he. How did this happen? Well, it was a case of geography. 2 kilometres. When Mark came to India, he went to the Gandhi Peace Foundation. The Gandhi Peace Foundation was championing Chani Prasad Bhatt. I went to Rajghat, where Sundar Bahugna was staying.